Hi everyone, it's good to be back with all of you. I missed you during spring break. We're going to pick up right where we left off and we're going to finish learning about protein. So today's videos are divided into part 1 and part 2, and they are about protein quality and vegetarian diets. So students ask me a lot about proteins and are some foods better sources of proteins than others? And the answer is yes. We have two kinds of proteins in foods. We have high quality or complete proteins, and we have lower quality or incomplete proteins. So I use some nicknames for these proteins as we learn about them. So the first ones we're going to talk about are high quality complete proteins, and I call these heavy hitters. And so high quality proteins by definition are foods that supply proteins that have ample amounts of all the essential amino acids in the right proportions to promote protein synthesis. So basically what this means is that food is the perfect system for delivering all the amino acids that you need to be able to build and repair your muscle tissue and other tissues in the body that require protein. So complete proteins typically come from foods that are animals, so meat, fish, eggs, poultry, and milk. But there are exceptions to this rule, and there are two plant foods, soy and quinoa, are also considered complete. And then I also highlighted some milk proteins because they are of particular interest to athletes because they're made into protein powders, and those are casein and whey. And so looking at our next slide here, we have what we call incomplete or lower quality proteins. I call these second string. They're still important to the team or to your diet, but they would be defined as foods that contain proteins that lack or are deficient in one or more essential amino acid. And foods that are examples of incomplete proteins are foods that come from plants. So grains, with the exception of quinoa, and vegetables and legumes, with the exception of soy. So I like to use the analogy of the alphabet. We have 26 letters in the alphabet. We have 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, and U. And without the vowels, we can't make words in the English language, so you could say those vowels are essential. And if we were missing the letter E, for example, you would be very limited and would eventually stop being able to make words with the letter E. So in the human body, we have 20 amino acids that are important for good health. 9 of them are essential, meaning that you have to take them in through the diet or you develop a deficiency. So if you were to live on a very limited diet of just 1 or 2 foods that supplied you with only incomplete proteins, eventually you wouldn't be getting all 9 essential amino acids, and protein synthesis would stop in the body. And then our last group of foods with relation to protein or in relation to protein would be foods that have very little or no protein. I call these bench warmers. These are fruits, fats, and oils, and they're really, bench warmers only in the sense that they are not high protein foods. And as you all know, I stressed throughout the semester, your healthy diet is not just all about the protein. And these foods supply other important nutrients like fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals to your diet, and they are very important for athletes' health and performance. So after students learn about high quality proteins and lower quality proteins, if we were in the classroom, I'd usually get a question that says, well, so what do vegetarians do that don't eat any animal proteins? How do they get all 9 essential amino acids? And so the first thing that would come to mind would be they would eat soy protein or quinoa. But also many vegetarians and actually people in general practice what we call complementing proteins. And so this means you're choosing to eat 2 foods containing incomplete proteins, each of which supplies the amino acid missing in the other. So I have some examples to help illustrate this. First of all, really common dish, black beans and rice. And if we look over here at our chart, we see legumes and we see grains. So the black beans would be the legumes and the rice would be the grains. And then going across the top, you see 4 essential amino acids. Where you see the gold, okay, that means that the food, or in this case the legumes, are very rich in those 2 amino acids. And then where you see the white it means that those 2 amino acids are lacking in the food. So if we look at black beans, we could see the gold here and the white here. And then if we compare it to the grain or the rice, you can see the rice is missing what the beans have, and the rice supplies what the beans don't. So when you eat the 2 together, the beans and rice, you get everything you need. So this is a common practice. Everybody does it, maybe without realizing. For example, if you make a peanut butter sandwich, bread is your grain, peanuts are technically a legume, so you put the 2 together, you're going to get all 9 essential amino acids. So you don't even have to do this at a meal. You just have to eat the foods throughout the same day, and that works perfectly fine. But when I am working with athletes or people in general, it really does make sense to combine the 2 at a meal. It's more filling. You get a rich supply of all 9 essential amino acids, and so that's important for being distributed throughout the day to your muscles. So it's a good practice. All right, so that concludes our little discussion on protein quality, and we'll be picking up in the next video about vegetarian diets.